Let's go over to the CBN News Desk for today's top stories.
Gordon, members of Congress are pushing back against the president's call for changes at the National Security Agency. He says the changes will make the NSA surveillance programs more transparent. But critics say the changes do not go far enough and really aren't changes at all. Ephraim Graham has that story.
It's not enough for me as president to have confidence in these programs. The American people need to have confidence in them as well.
The president wants a new civil liberties officer at the NSA and a commission to review intelligence programs like collecting telephone records with Congress. But some leaders do not believe that's enough.
We need to ask questions like, why did Mr. Snowden have access to the information that he had to? It couldn't have been part of his job. What about congressional oversight? Have we had a failure there? And clearly, Mr. Snowden's being granted asylum in Russia is a signal of incredibly bad relations between the United States.
Even Democrat Congressman Jim Clyburn, who has supported the president's stand on the NSA program in the past, said it's important to send the country and the president a message that, quote, this is something that we cannot allow you to just have a blank check on. Still, former NSA and CIA Director Michael Hayden issued a word of caution to the American people.
The president is trying to take some steps to make the American people more comfortable about what it is we're doing. That's going to be hard because, frankly, Bob, some steps to make Americans more comfortable will actually make Americans less safe.
Snowden's father also responded to the speech saying his son is not a traitor. But Lon Snowden also said that while he believes in the American justice system, he isn't sure his son could get a fair trial.
As a father, I want my son to come home if I believe that the justice system that we should be afforded as Americans is going to be applied correctly. What I would say is that my son has spoken the truth. He has sacrificed more than either the President of the United States or Peter King have ever in their political careers.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Many analysts in the West are calling Iran's new president a moderate. But who is Syed Hassan Rouhani? And does he represent the change the West hopes for? Here's Chris Mitchell now from Jerusalem.
Iran's new leader is Western educated, speaks 6 languages, with a long resume in Iran's Islamic Revolution. Unlike the abrasive Ahmadinejad, he presents a softer image. His election led some Western leaders and media to brand Iran's new president a moderate who can change Iran.
Nothing is going to change. There's going to be a new style. There's going to be an Oriental bazaar.
Hebrew University professor Moshe Sharon says Rouhani differs from Ahmadinejad in style, but not in substance.
You should expect in the coming few months some kind of an overtures by this nice-looking man. He's got a fatherly face, speaks the right language, speaks the language which he knows that the West wants to hear, while exactly continuing with the plan of Iran to enrich uranium.
He's a clergy, as I said. He's Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, which is a high degree of clergy, not Ayatollah, but pretty high in the ranks of Shiite Islam.
Iranian expert Tamar Gindin says a cartoon posted on Facebook shows the essence of Rouhani's election, where he's shown painting a beautiful Iranian missile.
It looks much better, but it's still a missile. And he said himself that they're not going to stop the centrifuges.
While the president is the face of Iran, the real power lies with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei.
Don't think that Rouhani is going to develop his own policy. There's not going to be such a thing. He's going to present a policy which is going to continue to be created by the Supreme Leader.
Those policies include Iran's nuclear program, its support of Syria, and an alliance with Russia. Rouhani also has a long history in a regime that persecutes Christians, tortures dissidents, and built the world's largest terror network. When Rouhani served as Iran's chief negotiator, he boasted that Iran's nuclear program advanced during his negotiations. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu calls that game talk and enrich, which allows Iran's nuclear program breathing room. Some believe he might be more dangerous than Ahmadinejad.
he can be more dangerous from this point of view, that he is going to say things which you want to hear.
Sharon warns the West might be headed to an unfamiliar Oriental Bazaar.
Everybody who was in Oriental Bazaar and know the negotiations in Oriental Bazaar knows that there are certain rules. Unfortunately, the West doesn't know the rules.
While the West takes stock of Iran's new president, both Gindin and Sharon say the centrifuges will keep spinning, while Iran draws closer to a nuclear bomb.
The danger is that because he's nicer, he can buy more time. And then it might be too late.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The American missionary detained in North Korea for the past 9 months has been transferred from a labor camp to a hospital. The effort to bring home Kenneth Bae has become more urgent, and on Saturday, hundreds of people attended a vigil for Bae in Seattle, Washington. Bae was arrested in November and sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. His health has deteriorated since then. His sister, Terry Chung, says Bae suffers from diabetes, an enlarged heart, liver problems, and back pain. He's lost more than 50 pounds, and his family fears his body will give in soon. Gospel singer Donnie McClurkin was banned from performing at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial because of his stance on homosexuality. McClurkin has testified that God has delivered him from being gay. He was set to perform Saturday for the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, but a handful of gay rights activists objected. A spokeswoman for Mayor Vincent Gray says the Grammy-winning singer decided not to perform because of the purpose of the event was to bring people together. But in a video statement, McClurkin says the mayor's office uninvited him. McClurkin plans to fight the action. The CBN program Superbook is reaching thousands of children across Africa. In Senegal, the program was used as summer camp outreach for more than 100 village children. They watched the episode about Joseph, learning about obedience and God's love. When children were asked why they wanted to come, many said it was because they wanted to know Jesus better and study the Word of God. There are currently 1,500 children enrolled in Superbook clubs throughout French Africa. And you can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.